Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting. First order of business is to approve last month's committee meeting minutes. Motion made by Supervisor McDevitt, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next on the agenda, we have privilege of the floor. Anyone care to make a comment to the Finance Committee? Questions? Okay. We did call this special meeting to consider proposals from various law firms in regards to the opioid litigation. But we do have a couple of action items to take care of first, and that being the request from the county treasurer for Monica Stark, who is a senior account clerk, to enroll in job-related courses at SUNY Plattsburgh from December 15th, 2017 to January 19th, 1018. We got some typos here, but it's 2018. We will fix that. The cost is $2,500. If it is approved, the reimbursement will be 50% of the course upon completion with a grade of C or better. Michael, would you like to come to the podium? Is it, just tell us a little bit about this course, please. Is it?
Well, unfortunately, I gave you my only copy of the course titles, but both of the courses are related to accounting, and that's, she actually submitted for 3 courses, and we denied one and said, okay, the 2 accounting courses are the ones that...
Okay, so this is just 1 month, and it's...
1 month, yeah.
One is, one of the courses is Seminar in Professionalism,
Yep.
and the other one is Pre-Calc.
Yep.
So how courses are related to this current position: math, accounting, service industry. So get a
Right, this
motion to
is
get
this
on
is the condensed, I should say, winter semester.
Right.
That's
right.
why we kind of rushed it in here, because normally we would have been able to get it for the January at the next meeting.
Right. Right. And it is concentrated. Motion made by Supervisor Simpson, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Discussion. Supervisor Sieber?
Just, Mike, I think the same issue as we've seen in the past with these. On item 9 on the resolution form, I think it should say up to $2,500, because of course if there's any type of grants, scholarships, aid.
We have already reviewed all of that, and because it's the short winter semester, there is no Pell, there is no grants available for it.
No scholarship?
No, they won't apply to that, only to the spring, the full spring and the full fall semesters are the only ones we went
With
to.
the flat cost.
But yeah, I agree with you, it isn't going to hurt to put the up to in there.
I'd be comfortable with the up to, but I just think that should be the standard in all these requests.
Is that okay with you, Supervisor Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Okay, item 2, referral from the Parks Operations Management Committee. Request to appropriate funds in the amount of $21,052.43 from budget code the deferred revenue Gaslight Village parking fees to the following budget codes: Gaslight Village property, supplies, Gaslight Village property, repairs and maintenance, building/property. Okay, thank you. Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Now, Mary had sent out questionnaires. These questions were given to all 3 law firms. This is just a recap. I had them all consolidated for you guys. And I made my own list of comparables. As you recall, Donna Voyagian was in here a couple of weeks ago, made a presentation. The Brindisi group and the Napoli group were here last week, and Supervisor Beatty is not here, but he did want to mention, he called me Friday and wanted to give his 2 cents. He felt that the last group, the Napoli group, was one that he would recommend if we were going to go forward with this litigation. He felt they had the better presentation out of all 3. You know, as I was working on this last night, there's good points and and good points. I mean, they all are very reputable groups. A couple of highlights. That I had in here was the Boyajian group. When the question was asked, what is the best result you have obtained in prior opioid litigations? The other two did not have anything, but the Boyajian group achieved a settlement of $75 million on behalf of 5,000 claimants. Also, the last question, which I thought was kind of important, was the fee structure. And the Napoli group and Brindisi group were willing to have a sliding scale, but also would match each other's fees. So, but the Boyajian group had a flat fee of 25%. They felt that fees never settled early, so they didn't feel that a sliding scale was recommended. What else I had here? Okay, and the other highlight was the question, would you be willing to consider working with other firms? And again, the Boyajian group was the only one that said it wasn't in the county's best interest to have more than one firm, but they would work in coordination with other consolidation actions. So, you know, there's some highlights in there. I don't know if you guys gave this much thought. The idea was to move at a quicker pace getting this forward than not moving forward with it quickly. So I'll leave it open to the committee at this point for thoughts. Supervisor McDivitt?
Yeah, I listened to obviously all of the presentations. I did read the retainer agreement that the Napoli enclosed, which I thought was good that they actually closed it. I thought their presentation was the best. I thought they really seem to have both feet in the arena, and I would certainly vote for them with one condition, that being that they negotiate the top end of their fee, which is 25%, and that they would agree to a 20% top fee approach in terms of getting the deal done.
Okay, thank you. Actually, why don't we just go around the committee, please? I would like to get all of your suggestions. Supervisor Stroud?
I like the Napoli firm the best. I have the local connections. And the 25%, typically a little bit less than the 1/3 that you often see with these. I would like to agree with Supervisor McDivitt. I don't think they can, at this point, offer a subgroup, with a 20%, because none of this, for us, there isn't any fee. They're just saying that off of the top of this, that they would collect 25%. And they said that was a net too. They didn't say off the gross. So I thought that was another advantage of the Napoli firm. And the success rate that they've had in the past. I think they have proven success rate. So I kind of favored the Napoli group.
Okay.
I think if they were asked to take 20%, they would take 20%. So I would ask them.
There's no harm in asking.
Yeah.
Supervisor Molina?
I'd have to pass. I only made one presentation. I couldn't make the others, so it was tough to me I'm reading this here, so I will just refer to the rest of the board on what they think.
Supervisor Sieber?
I think obviously both are interesting proposals. One that stuck out for me, and I'm more inclined to go with Dreyer Boyajian. How do you say the last name?
Boyajian.
Boyajian, but the Dreyer group. I like the fact that they, one, your first proposal, your second one here says they do not intend to use paralegals to work on litigation, rather utilize attorneys to work, whereas the other group talks about 80 lawyers plus 240 support staff. I think that we are in a county look to our support staff. I think many private industries do, and we recognize that there are certainly areas of specialty that are very beneficial. They answer that they will, in fact, work with their paralegals, with their team players. I think if we want the biggest bang for our buck and somebody who's got a group of experts on staff knowing what they're doing, I would be more comfortable with that group, given their answers, particularly to the questionnaire, but also in reviewing information from the meeting previously that I had to leave early during. But I like their idea of how they would go about handling the total scope and recovering those dollars.
Mary?
I just want to clear something up. Dreyer Boyajian is the local law firm. The actual law firm that would be working on the case is Simmons, Hanley, Conroy. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that the bigger firm would actually be working on the case.
But that still doesn't change their answers to their questions on the
No,
questionnaire,
correct. I
correct?
just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would say I'm comfortable with that.
Supervisor Simpson?
I'm in favor of the Napoli firm. I thought I felt most comfortable with them. But I do have to say that I'm uncomfortable with the whole idea of this lawsuit, global lawsuit, because I think ultimately the drug company is going to charge more money. Ultimately the consumers and the insurance companies and everybody else is going to pay for this. And they're still going to be pumping these drugs out. And so everybody's getting a piece of this pie, and it's not solving the problem. So that's how I feel. I'm sorry.
Can I ask a question then off of Matt's comments? I mean, we can certainly vote no and not hire anybody, right? This isn't mandated. We don't have to do it.
Correct. And you know, maybe I'm misreading this, but from the Napoli group, the very first question was, can you provide an estimate of expenses for the litigation and an estimate of the damages you believe the county can collect through this litigation? But if you look at their second sentence, it says, our experience so far is that the expenses of the litigation will outweigh the damages that might be collected.
That was a typo.
Oh, okay. Why the hell are we doing that? Okay. So what should it
That
have?
was not my typo. They meant that the damages will far outweigh the expenses. They just mixed up the two words, which I know
All
is
right.
very unfortunate, but
Yeah,
I realize it's not a good selling point, but...
Yeah, that was a killer.
Yeah, they
Supervisor
mixed that up.
Supervisor Simpson?
Oh, I just wanted to add one more thing. I mean, there's experience in this, looking at tobacco companies. Still selling cigarettes, we just raised the prices. They paid out all those legal fees, and everybody got a piece of the action. So now everybody's quiet.
Supervisor McDougall?
I think the question, you know, to maybe take a counterpoint to Matt's situation is, have we legitimately, as a county, been harmed? Have we incurred expenses because of opiates in our society? Have we incurred expenses as it relates to police, protection, counseling, rehab? And I would suggest that we probably have been hurt. I think all counties have been hurt. So, you know, litigation is litigation, okay? And then, you know, no one likes the guy with the shiny suit and, you know, whatever in terms of litigation, but it is what it is.
Oh, I agree.
Supervisor Seaver?
Well, just and in counterpoint to that, certainly, you know, then maybe we should be talking about going after the different gum companies or going after, you know, we've been hurt by many violent crimes and have a huge amount of victimization across the board from people. But yet we aren't going hard while we hope there's some change to public defenders and the type of indigent services and the increase in that. I mean, there's certainly worthy efforts that we could be doing towards all different groups. But what concerns me about the tobacco settlement, and I didn't realize it till Mike so graciously put me on that committee this year, was that we're getting that money, but it's not going 100% towards prevention of smoking and going towards the people that are harmed by lung cancer and by problems from smoking. I mean, we put a large amount to that to offset not only parts of our general fund, but we offset parts of our social services through it. It's not working the way that it was intended to work. although Mike, you do a great job making sure it's rolling, but fundamentally, there's problems with it. And I still think fundamentally, whatever lawsuit, whatever you recover, you'll have problems with it.
Treasurer Swan?
Just as a point of information, the Nathalie, that's how it's pronounced, firm has already reached out to me to kind of give me an idea of what information they're going to need from the county to determine whether or not we have been impacted. Okay, so that's part of the lawsuit. They have to come in and evaluate what we have spent in relation to this so that we can basically state that there has been an impact.
Good being proactive like that.
Yeah.
Chairman?
Yeah, I think that we really need to get some guidance from our attorney, because I think we're dealing with some if-then situations here. For example, if the state of New York, the Attorney General, were to pick up this litigation and pursue it, right, on behalf of all the municipalities in the state, which can happen, then we might not want to be entering into a contract for legal services to pay for something that's not necessarily, they're not necessarily delivering. I mean, if the percentage is based upon going from today to a court ruling, where they're carrying the water every inch along the way, well, then that's one thing. But this thing could take a few turns along the way here, and I think that we need to have a structure whereby that's recognized within the agreement. And I'm not exactly sure how to do that or what the correct percentages are. I know one of the consultants did break it down, I believe, and didn't they, Mary? One of them actually broke it down into different sections of work.
For the contingency fee?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep, that was Napoli Skolnick.
Yeah, and so I think that that's after you decide on, or maybe before, I think you need to ponder that a little bit, because you don't want to sign a contract where you're going to pay somebody a certain percentage when you're not the ones carrying it specifically across the line. Comment I would make, and I think that's where we need to get the input at some of the attorneys in the room as to, what's the best way to design it. Sometimes maybe we should put ourselves in a position to move, but not make the final determination just yet. So we see maybe a little more of the lay of the land here. That's another possibility. Sort of arm ourselves ready to make a decision. We can hold up until we're assured that this is what we should do.
Supervisor Brammer?
I appreciate your point about whether or not we should go forward or not. I think from a legal perspective, at least the Napoli one, we're not at risk for anything. They can go forward and they can incur costs for consultants and experts, and if we lose, we're not out any of that money. They are going to need it, and they said that in their contract and in their email to Mary. On the other hand, should we even go forward? What's the point of it? And I think that I have spent some time thinking about it, and I think that it is one element of trying to address the opioid addiction problem, because if we're going after them, hopefully people will start changing their attitudes and the way that we see that drug. Because these guys say they are going to go after not just the manufacturers, but some of the bad actor doctors who are prescribing it in ways that we don't I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that probably shouldn't be happening. So it could be, I'm not advocating them to go after gun manufacturers, but in this case, it does seem like a good way to make some impact and have another avenue to make an impact in this crisis.
They were actually going after the poor. They were going after the manufacturer, distributor,
That's right.
the pharmaceutical companies, and the doctors. Supervisor McDonald?
Mr. Chairman, very brief thoughts. Great points to make. Great points, but inaction is still an action. It is a decision that is made not to do something. while this might not necessarily be the final solution to the opioid problem that we face right now, these volumes that we are taking action that says we do not appreciate what these companies are doing or how they are handling the responsibility that they have to patients that require some medication, certain things, whatever it costs. And I think we should be deliberate with our approach and decision making when you're from Travis County. But I think this is a path that we should be exploring fully and taking action again volumes to where we stand.
The more you speak, the more I like you. You remind me of myself.
I certainly wasn't advocating for opting out and not pursuing this. I think that we have to take that step. What I was doing is highlighting the issue. The bigger issue is that we're in this system that we're going to say it's okay after the lawsuit's done. The money, the lawyers are going to benefit. How much of it really is going to reach the end user, the person affected by this? You've seen it. You go, talk about gun manufacturers. You go after gun manufacturers, cost of guns go up, cost of insurance goes up. They pay their, so that just becomes a cost of business. I think you work for GE, right? GE, how many times have they been sued for something blamed on them? Multi-million-dollar, hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements. GE's still here today, manufacturing at a higher cost. So I was just highlighting the overall issue that, the system. There's something wrong with the system, in my opinion. And we see that with tobacco. Big tobacco, still big tobacco, still a problem.
How many?
Go ahead, Supervisor Seaver.
Well, I just mean, to Matt's point, how much of that tobacco money is really going to where it was intended to go? It's not.
Supervisor Frazier.
Well, I would go with the Napoli group. I felt that their presentation was something that I had really a better understanding. I question the litigation, but I think it is something that we need to do, and I guess that's where I stand at this point.
And Acting Administrator Garrity.
I would go with Napoli too. I mean, if we were successful in settlement, certainly we could make sure that some of the money went to our first responders and our local emergency squads to make sure that they got funded for some of the NICAM and some of the expenses they have to deal with this issue. I mean, it's affected local first responders, it's affected our police departments, social services. I mean, there's a far-reaching problem here that all you got to do is watch the news and listen to the different scenarios. So we could certainly, if we were successful, we could craft a program where that money would go down to where it's supposed to go. I don't remember, I was not here when they did the tobacco settlement, and I don't know how it was set up, or I know that some of it goes to prevention, not a lot, but certainly with this issue, we could set something up where it would go for our first responders to help with the treatment, and maybe some of our medical facilities help with the treatment of this. It's a crisis. It affects a lot of people. I'm for them. I think they have the resources available to them to go after this.
Supervisor Seaver.
Can you word it in such a way then, Kevin, the resolution, if hired, and we go through with it, that
I think we could at the proper time. I'm not sure we can now. We're just hiring a firm. If there's any settlement money, I would certainly want to work on where we're going to funnel any settlement money if we were successful. We could certainly do that. But I mean, I hear what you're saying about the tobacco, but this is something, it's affected a lot of people.
Yeah.
We could certainly nail it down, zero down, and get it to the right areas.
I think if we learn from the mistakes of that, or the way that can get funneled through, or legally if there's a way to have that done, then that's good. For our first responders, certainly, like Bud talked about with the machines he's been able to use, they're expensive, but they're effective, but I think it has to be pointed.
Mary?
I can address that, actually. The tobacco settlement was done through the Attorney General, so they got a settlement for everyone in New York State. So that's why you only get some money, each county only gets a certain percentage of the money But these firms are actually going to file a lawsuit in Warren County, and they're actually going to base it off our damages. They're going to bring in forensic scientists. They're going to see how much the county has spent on combating this opioid crisis, and then that's how the damages are going to be allocated, and that's how the settlement is going to be reached. So you won't be sharing that money with any other counties. It's specific to Warren County, and that's how it's different than the tobacco litigation.
Mary, while you have the floor, I know Chairman had asked the lawyers in the room there. Not that you have to give a group that you're interested in, but can we hear your thoughts and if you feel this is a good idea to move forward, if, you know?
Sure. I guess I'll talk in terms of the positives. Napoli Skolnick was very responsive. They responded almost immediately, and I had a couple follow-up questions for them that they also responded very quickly to. Brindisi was the same. I think it's just, with them, I don't think they were as good with technology maybe, so they had someone else in their office respond to me. Napoli Skolnick has also been very accommodating. They answered all the questions positively, whereas I didn't think the other two law firms maybe did that as well. I think they're all perfectly capable. I think they would all be successful. I did have some concerns about the size of Napoli Skolnick, but those concerns were just would they be responsive to Warren County, and so far they have been.
No, thank you. Appreciate that. Supervisor Molina.
The only comment I'd like to make, and I like Kevin's idea, but this is going to take 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
And I really would like that suggestion put into, not to hire an attorney, but in our own,
Well, if we-
so, 4 years from now, maybe none of us will be here. It'd be a good suggestion that whatever money comes in, even if it's $1,000 or $100,000, some of it be allocated for EMS squads around the county, which would really help with that.
And there's certainly segments. You got responders, you've got treatment, you got the social services aspect of it. There's so many aspects that we can funnel the funds to, but I do think, it's time that the people who have to deal with it on the front lines, which are the first responders, whether it be EMS organization or sheriffs or state police, we'll let the state take care of themselves. But I think that money should be funded there, and then for the treatments and all the social aspects of it, because it is far-reaching.
Supervisor McDevitt?
What does Mary think about asking for a 20% fee structure?
I certainly think we should ask.
Be a big number ultimately.
And me personally, I mean, I liked all three firms. The Brindisi group was interesting, though. I think they had the wrong guy speaking. I think that the other gentleman, I think he was a judge or something like that, correct? Yeah, I think he could have made a stronger case for their group, but I just love the fact that the Napoli group has all these tentacles. They are everywhere. They're on top of everything, and they're very willing to work with Warren County. So, what's the committee's pleasure? Do we want to act on this? Do we want to move it forward? Do we want to take our time with this?
A question from the audience.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right,
Michael.
Well, thank you. I'm not a stranger to settlements, and I'm just curious, what are the consequences of not jumping on the bandwagon with all the other counties? Do you give up your right to still follow through with additional legal action?
Go ahead, Mary.
I'm sorry. So the statute of limitations for fraud is 6 years, and that's the statute that they're using. I'm not sure when they've calculated that to start running. I would assume it has started running. That's why everyone's starting this litigation. The other concern is that the Attorney General will start a lawsuit, and then Warren County will be precluded from bringing their own lawsuit, and they'll be subject to whatever settlement the Attorney General gets.
So just to follow up, do you think that Warren County can do better than the Attorney General?
I think that the damages that Warren County will be awarded if they hire their own law firm, will be specific to Warren County. If the Attorney General brings a lawsuit, they'll just settle on behalf of all of New York State, and then they'll allocate the money themselves. So I don't know who will get a greater number, but I have a feeling that if Warren County hires their own counsel, we will get a greater percentage of the damages.
And that's the way I understood it too. The earlier we get on this, jump on this, the more potential litigation monies we can receive. If we wait longer, they've got some kind of a sliding scale also that they use as far as when different counties join in with them. So, yeah. So I guess the question is, what's the committee's pleasure? Do we want to act on this? I don't see why not. We're in majority of the Napoli group.
Yeah.
Napoli group. I don't know how to pronounce it, Mary. So I guess at this point, is it just a recommendation from the finance that we now proceed to move forward with discussions with them? I don't think we need a resolution, do we?
Enter into a contract.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they could do that all today, right? If you wanted to enter
Yeah.
into the retainer agreement,
Yeah.
then we would need a resolution coming out of finance. But if you just want to recommend it, then we don't.
Thoughts? Chairman?
Mary, if you could just go through their scale again, the payment scale.
Sure. So after the complaint is filed, but before discovery begins, it was 7.5%, I believe. Let me just find it. So, I'm sorry, pre-complaint, so before the complaint is filed. So if we sign the retainer with them and they're drafting the complaint but it hasn't been filed yet, they're willing to do 7.5% of any settlement. That's a contingency fee. Although as I'm saying that out loud, I'm not really sure how they would determine what our damages are when they haven't even filed the complaint, so I'm not so sure that one's relevant. If they file a motion to dismiss and it's settled, or the court rules in our favor, the plaintiff's favor, they would take 15% of the contingency fee, 20% after the close of discovery, and just so the committee knows, discovery has all been consolidated down in Suffolk County, and that's where the Napoli firm is located, so their travel expenses will be really cut down because they're basically going across the street, whereas the other two firms would actually have to travel to do all the discovery. And then after a summary judgment motion, it's 25%.
Additional 5.
After,
For a total of 25.
correct.
So, my assumption is that we're just going to move forward with the Napoli group. We want, well, actually, Mike Swan has already been in touch with them, correct? They've already asked him for some information. So does that mean that we've already started something?
No.
No?
Oh.
Okay. All right.
I think we need a motion coming out of the committee to move it to the full board.
Okay. So can we get a motion from the Finance Committee to move this forward
I would so move.
with Napoli, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Motion made by Supervisor McDevitt, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, discussion.
Is there just a way at this point in time to just make sure that resolution does reflect that the monies, if recovered, should in fact be put towards our first responders? Or where's my fear is that this passes here today, years from now or whenever it happens,
We could do that.
that it won't end up there.
We will have time, but we could do that right now.
Well, yeah, we can add that as a caveat, and we'll write it up so it's approved by the full board.
Okay.
That the money is any recovery money will be destined for our first responders, medical treatment, public health, social services, mental health treatment, all the facilities, but I think we need to put percentage that we want to go, you know, frontline people and then all the other ones, and specifically
Right.
Put it towards those groups.
Because even right now with tobacco, we make the argument, well, so much goes to social services, but you can't convince me that that money's going towards people
I
who
thought
want
it was going
cancer.
to public health, but...
Or a percentage goes to, like, it's broken down, but it's not anywhere near what it was intended.
But certainly, this is a little bit different because
Right.
we have people out there on the front lines every day
Exactly.
having to treat these folks who are addicted to this.
So if we could craft a resolution in that manner, I'd support it.
Certainly could have done.
Is that okay, Supervisor McKibben?
It's more than fine.
Supervisor Fraser?
Absolutely.
Any more discussion? Okay, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. I believe that's it. If there's anything else, anybody from the floor, committee? Motion to adjourn. Motion made by Supervisor Strauss, seconded by Supervisor Fraser. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you guys for coming.
Well,